talk to everybody when you're hurt. When you're
No.
hurt, you have to be careful with who you speak to. And then even how to manage hold myself in my separation, right? So you talked about the dating world.
Stay tuned in and take notes on this episode. There's some great, great concepts here that I believe are going to help you prosper in all areas of your life.
Welcome to another exciting show of transformation. Prosper with Wayne, creating wealth, health, and happiness in your life. With your host, life and business coach, author, entrepreneur, and lover of life, Wayne Sutton. Prepare to become excited, expand your beliefs, and truly prosper in all the areas of your life. Enjoy.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Prosper with Wayne, creating health, wealth, and happiness in your life. Today, we have a great guest. We spoke yesterday, Giselle. We spoke earlier before the call. I'm so excited to have you on here because you are someone that's helping people have a better life, which is what we talk a lot about here. You're helping people write books. You're helping people get through the pain of divorce and so much more, and really get their message out into the world. So I'm excited to have you on, and I know we're going to have fun through this call. So tell me, where are you located? Tell me where you're calling in from today.
Absolutely. Well, first off, Wayne, thank you so much for having me on. It is totally my honor to be here on your podcast. And I am in New Jersey, so I'm originally from northern New Jersey,
Okay.
but I have lived in southern New Jersey now for 19 years. And I always make that distinction because anybody from New Jersey knows they're like two different states in one. So So I
Gotcha.
am in South Jersey and I absolutely love what I do. I'm a mom and, a daughter and a sister, and I just love helping people share their stories.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I love that because I've written a number of books, and I know it's not easy to think, hey, I'm gonna write a book. But what I really love is when someone says, hey, I'm going to write a book, and they actually do the work. They actually write a book. My first book was 13, no, wow, probably 15 years ago now.
Wow.
And it was a Christian book called How in Hell Can I Change? And I wrote it, and then I hired a coach. And so I wish I'd have hired a coach ahead of time, but it'd been a lot easier. But he helped me distribute it, market it. So you help people write books. I know we're going to talk about that. I want to get into that, how that works. But
Yeah.
you've written a number of books yourself, and
I
got
have.
published on. Yeah.
I have. I've written 5 books, and I love I my books are very much about development and from a faith perspective, right? So my first book was Armed and Purposed, and I wrote it because I love for people to understand their purpose. When you understand why God placed you on this earth, then
Mm.
you find fulfillment in that, right? And it glorifies him. So when we understand why we're here, we're fulfilling that void almost that everybody finds, right? When they're at work or wherever they are and they're frustrated. And then it glorifies him. He loves when we do that because it just everything goes back to him and his will is done on the earth. So that was my first book. I have one that speaks on marriage, a manuscript writing development book, actually. So that's more of a workbook. That's more for my business. And
Okay.
then I did one on singles, an anthology, because living a Christian single life and now I know this, now being on the latter side, I know this, it can be challenging.
Yeah.
There's a lot, yeah, there's a lot that comes with it. So I wrote on that one, and my last one, my most recent one is The Pain Plan, which speaks
The
of
pain
grief
plan.
and divorce.
Okay. Okay. So for those watching this, and I've been there too, just I went through it. I got married young. I went through a divorce. I fought through the dating area of life as a Christian man, and trying to do it biblically, and trying to figure out life, and trying to figure out and heal from all the past pains, and then married a beautiful woman now, and happily married. But there was a process of healing, without a doubt. So talk to me about the pain plan, because I think a lot of people that are watching this because I have coached and counseled for a number of years now. I have counseled so many people, and something you said earlier, the two things I always hear is I want to know what's my purpose. What's my purpose in life? I always heard that. And the second, well, I would say the second thing, it always come back to who they were married to, who they wanted to marry, who they were wanted to divorce, or it's always relationships. So the pain plan, talk to us. I mean, what inspired you to write that book? And love to hear your story
Woo!
behind that. Obviously, you don't want to miss a single episode. Creating health, creating wealth, creating happiness. That's what this channel is about. So go and hit the subscribe button. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed yet and you're on YouTube, click the button and click the little bell so you're notified every time we bring out a new episode. Great interviews, great training, and the tools that you need to live a prosperous life. If you're listening to this and you're on audio, maybe you're on any of the Apple Podcast, any other platform, then be sure to subscribe there as well. And leave us a 5-star review. Would be very, very helpful. Again, I look forward to bringing you more content. And we are looking for you to give us feedback. So give us feedback. So subscribe, give feedback, comment, and I look forward to continuing to bring you massive value. Let's get back to the show.
Well, I will tell you, Wayne, what in the pandemic, during the 2020, everybody was shut in, right? And
Yeah.
what it did though is interesting that as everybody was secluded, there was no longer any places to hide, right? So everything was exposed. And that happened in my home where things were exposed and I found out some things. And so, because of that, a lot of hurt, a lot of emotional trauma happened, right? For me, for my kids, our family. It really rocked our world. And so,
Mm.
for what I understood, and I'm so grateful for, though, is that I had a relationship so deep rooted in God that while I felt my emotions, I couldn't afford to allow my emotions to dictate my next move.
Hmm.
So God really prepared me, even before everything was unveiled. And He speaks to me in dreams. So I had this dream where it was me and my then husband, and I was so upset with him, and I just kept saying, "You're lying, you're lying." So I found out later on stuff he was doing stuff. And for me, I understand that that's how God prepares my heart for the blow. And I get that it
Yeah.
doesn't everybody that way, but I do believe that when you have a relationship with God, He graces you and He comforts you in the pain. So anyway, so I knew in the moment that it was for other people, but let's be real, I'm human and I hated it. I hated all
Sure. Yeah.
I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to feel any of this.
Right.
So,
Right.
but I knew it was gonna be a book. I just didn't realize to what extent. In my mind,
Mm.
I thought it was gonna be, this is what he did, this is how God laid it out for me. And he really was very strategic. God showed me who I should talk to, because you can't talk to everybody when you're hurt. When you're
No.
hurt, you have to be careful with who you speak to. And then even how to manage hold myself in my separation, right? So you talked about the dating world. When I got divorced, I would get so many men who were like, I'm separated. No, thank you. Because you're still married. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So those are seasons, Wayne. And I think people don't understand, even as believers, sometimes we don't realize that the separation is a season. It's not always leading directly to divorce, but it is a season where you have to steward yourself well. And for me,
Yeah.
right? For me, it was just, I'm going to pray. I'm going to be with God. I'm going to seek Him. I'm going to heal. I'm going to do the things that I have to do. So that book really talks about navigating through the whole journey from separation to divorce, and even some stuff that I had to work on myself.
Mm. That's so good. That's so good. So yeah, and I understand this. Again, when I went through my divorce, I was young, but I was in church, and no disrespect towards the church, but they really didn't have any answers. Uh, I mean, the obvious answer was, "We'll pray for you." Whether that was a polite word or they actually took time out of their day and prayed, I don't know. But we'll pray for you. And I sought counsel the best I knew with my pastor at the time, and actually, I tell you, Giselle, I run into a lot of. I grew up in a Pentecostal, uh, and I'm grateful for my background, but I grew up in a background that taught divorce was the almost unforgivable sin. If you got divorced, you were divorced. You never could remarry. And I remember asking my pastor, I said, I'm 26 years old and I can never get married again. And he's
Right.
like, it's not, that's just what the word says. And so it was hard. It was hard for me. It really tested my faith and would I, if I had believed that, how was I going to live that out? So I can respect, and I think the faith community has stepped up a lot, but I think there's a big gap there. I still think there's a lot of training that needs to be done. In fact, I would say it's probably why I become a coach and counselor. I went through hell and decided other people need to be better than this. So
Yeah.
before I even got ordained, I went and started studying counseling and coaching, and my poor seminary professor, I just dug into him about, can I get remarried?
Right.
What does the word really say? What is this grace that I'm always hearing about? Um, but I'd love to, but I still think that personally, I'd love to hear your thought. I think the faith community could do so much better when people
Yeah.
are going through that hell or they're about to go through it. I mean, I coach so many people and they go, we're heading towards divorce. I'm like, you need to hit the pause button and really think about what you're about to do here. But tell me, like, how have you seen the faith community, good or bad? I mean, I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
yeah.
What's your
Oh,
thoughts?
absolutely, absolutely. So, and what's funny is you mentioned that, Wayne, and in the pain plan, I write about how we need to stop saying, pray. Just pray about it. And I don't mean in a way of prayer doesn't work. Prayer works. You know what I
Sure.
mean? It's the word of God. Of course,
Yeah.
that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to declare His word, right? So, but the thing that where we miss it is we say pray, but we don't put action behind what we're believing God for.
Mm.
And that's where you have to have faith and works, right? You pray because you have faith, but where are your works? So I talk a lot about you can pray to God to deliver me from this pain and the healing and all that, but then you got to also put boots to the ground. You got to work on your healing. What are those things that you're doing? And so I'm very clear on the steps that we can take to heal. And when it comes to faith communities, it is very much still a very taboo subject, right? Where all of a sudden you see a couple sitting together in church, and suddenly you don't see them anymore.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Or I have a friend who also she got divorced after I did. But her parents' church, because she's a preacher's kid, her parents' church, they shunned her. A lot of them kind of side-eyed her. You know,
Yeah.
she did
Yeah.
nothing wrong, Wayne. It wasn't. I know her story. It wasn't like she was the one who stepped out or she did whatever. No, it was a legitimate, foundationally biblical, sound decision. Now, I will say for me, I'm grateful because I had pastors who really walked me through the word. And, it's if you do everything that you can, seeking counsel, right? Going to your pastors, going to to whoever you have in that place of speaking to you and your spouse. And you do as much as you can, and they still don't. That's where now you're like, okay, God, what do I do here? Right. And
Sure.
so for me, it was doing those things. And I said, God, if you want me to stay, I'll stay. I don't know how it's gonna work out because it was pretty major.
Yeah.
I'm
Sure.
like, oh, God, your daughter, but if you want me to stay, I will do it for you to get the glory, not for the people in the church, not for my parents, not for my kids, not for my comfort. It has to be because God wants me to stay.
Yeah. And yeah, not just to write a book, yeah, that's right. But but I love this because what you've taken is your own life, your own challenge, and now you're helping other people. And I think people, and we're gonna come back to that, but I think a lot of people miss the power of the word, and I mean that in two ways. Number one, the written word of God, the logos.
The logos, yeah.
Number two, they forget the power of word in like books that you write, that I write, that so many other people write. That writing the book, and I'm sure you feel the same way, can be very therapeutic for the writer, for
Yeah,
the author. But
yeah,
also, you never know who's going to pick that book up. I share, Giselle, it kind of hits me when my first book, I said probably 15 years ago now. Um, I got a letter in the mail one day, and it was a gentleman that was in jail, and he said, "Hey, Wayne, found your book." Somebody sent it to him. I don't know how he got the book. And he said, I read it every day. And it's a 150-page book, but it is large print. You could read it in a day. I guess if you're in jail, you got nothing else to do.
right.
He said, I've read it all the way through every day. And when I get out, I must meet you. I need help, etc. And I thought that was worth the hours and hours and hours of writing this book. Then another gentleman that I knew from previous in school sent me a message on Facebook. And he said, Wayne, one of my family members, one of my aunts actually has never received Christ. She read your book and she received Christ. And I just want to say thank you for the book. And I'm like, again, they're worth all of the time and energy.
Yep.
And so I tell people that are, I'm glad for all of our listeners that are listening to podcasts. I'm a big podcast junkie myself, but I'm also somebody that will read or jump on Audible and listen, because you never know that one piece of information that's going to
Yeah.
change the way you think. When Heaven Invades Earth is a great book by Bill Johnson. And when I read that book 15 years ago, probably, it shifted my theology in a good way.
Yeah.
And I started saying, I remember calling my buddy up and saying, you have to read this book, like now, order it, read it. And it's shifted my ministry. So the power of a book is so important. But the pain plan. So in our discussion, the pain stood for something, the letters. Like, do you mind sharing a little bit more about the book? And
Yeah, no, I want to say this though, because you were talking about you never know, right? And I always, anytime I help anybody with their book, I say that don't write for the people that you know. Write for the people you don't know, because you really don't. And with the pain plan, I was volunteering at our annual Thanksgiving drive for my church. And we're standing outside, and this one of the ladies, she, and I never would have thought it, Wayne, but she turns to me and she's like, "Sis, I just want to tell you, I read your book and I realized I haven't healed. All these years have passed and I haven't healed, and I need to do the work." And so because of that, she took she went on with counseling. But, for me, it's like, even if one person is affected, right, and changed and improved and bettered, even if one person's life is impacted, then you've done it, because anything we do is really for an audience of one anyway. It's for God.
true. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so you wrote the book, you published a book, you're changing. Oh, back to the pain. Do you mind sharing with us what that stands for?
I don't it's just a blueprint for
So,
navigating.
blueprint. Okay.
Well, yeah, it's the blueprint for navigating through emotional healing, through marriage, separation, and divorce. And
Awesome.
um, and so it has steps in there on dealing with triggers, because that's a thing.
Mm.
Everybody gets triggered, right?
Yes, yes.
And this is not to dismiss or diminish them. They are real things.
Sure.
Um, but we have to deal with them. And it goes through, it talks about emotions and just having emotional health. That's
Mm.
important. And then self-realization and owning the pain. A lot of us want to hurry up, especially believers, right? We're really good about testimonies and doing, like, this is going to be my testimony, and we're really really good about that. But we don't allow the test to have its time. Like, it takes time. And so we want to hurry up, heal, so that we can help other people. But the pain has a purpose, and we have to
That's good.
do what it has to do in us, right?
In
So
us,
that then,
yeah. Yeah, and I think what you said there earlier, like I love that you said God speaks to you in dreams. For some people may not understand it. I definitely understood it before my divorce. There was a number of dreams that kind of prepared me. I didn't know it at the time, and then when I went through it, I'm like, okay. And there's been, even in the last 2 years, there's been a number of dreams that have shown me some things that were going to happen. It's not always good. When people say, Lord told to me in dreams, it's not always a good thing, but
Right.
it prepares us. So we can go to that next level. And then, of course, through the books. Now, I'm curious about the book, though. You've got me really curious because it's not just that book. Like I said, you've written a number of books. I think a lot of people, and this is going to go back to purpose, I think a lot of people have a book within them. They never get out. Uh, yeah, so I'd love to know more about that. What are your thoughts around when people come to you and go, hey, Giselle, I want to write a book? Or yeah, you probably hear it more than they do it, but like, tell me more.
I hear it a lot more than they do it. So I think it's everybody always is like, I want to write a book. I want to write a book. I have a book in me. I have a book in me. I have a story. And it's not a lie when everybody has a story.
Mm,
And they may very well have a book. The thing about books, and this is with any assignment that God gives us, is that it's weighty. And a lot of times it's easier to say a thing than understanding the cost of doing it, right? So if
yeah.
I say to you, I want to lose 10 pounds, right? And you're like, well, go to the gym.
Yeah.
Eat
Yeah.
better. But
Yeah.
then tomorrow, I'm having chocolate bars and, all this stuff and eating junk or eating pizza. It's so easy to say that you want to do something but it takes discipline and consistency and a resolve. You have to have a resolve for like, I'm gonna get this thing out one way or another.
So what's the first? I'm curious. I think I know because I've written books, but I could have missed it. Uh, what would you say is the first step? Somebody that says, I want to start, I want to write a book, but I don't know where to start. What would you say is the first step?
Yeah. I would say, come work with me. No, I'm just kidding. I would say, I would
Yeah,
say
and we're going to place all of your information in show notes. Absolutely. But okay.
no, no, my heart is always for people to just complete the assignment. I never assume people are going to work with me, but I always say to them, just write. Any clients that I've had in the past, they know those are my two favorite words. Just write it. It doesn't even
Mm,
matter. Don't think about the editing part because what happens a lot of times, and I had this conversation earlier with with somebody. They're not a client. I just had a conversation, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're right." I said, well, the number one mistake people do is they don't write because they think whatever they write is automatically going to go in the book. Oh, I wrote
yeah.
it, going in the book. But you have a whole process in between. It's got to be edited, it's got to be proofread. Like you have all this in the middle. It's not going to go from what you wrote to what you're publishing.
That's good.
And because they're thinking about that, they stop or they just don't even start because they're like, I can't write this. I can't do, oh, what if this person reads it? And you get all in your head. So I tell people just write, just get in front of your computer. You have to know your most productive times. That's important,
Yes.
right? When are you freshest in your mind? And then just pray and then you just write. And you write and you write, even if it's something that you're like, I don't think it's going to make it, but just keep writing. Because once the flow starts, it's hard to stop.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so, yeah, I can literally go back to I'll go to that first book, reading it again years later. I can say, this part was inspired. This is when the Spirit of God was on me. This is when I was really, and this is inspired. I can even look at my last book. So, I wrote a business book, Secrets of Instant Rapport. And I really, I wanted to get into tactical how to, but I had to get into the heart of what it means to build connection. Like when you meet somebody and you're naturally connected to that person, you trust that person, and you want to work with that person. That's what I wanted to help people. And as I would go back and read through that, some of the chapters, I don't want to say they repeat themselves by any means, but I go back and I have to rehash that strength in that. But as you said, there is, once you get right and it flows, And I think it's so important. And I'm just going to share my thoughts on like artificial intelligence today. There's so many, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. My thought is anyone can jump on chat, Grok, whatever, and have a book written in no time. The problem is, and I think it could be great for proofreading. It could be great for there's things I think AI can do without a doubt. But I don't believe the AI can capture the true soul of the one writing it. And I believe that personalization disappears. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So I use just the word because, I actually was reading an article earlier today about creatives and how they feel about AI. I'm very much a creative. And so, but I will say I use AI. I use ChatGPT. I use chat for marketing to brainstorm. I love brainstorming. I use it for certain things. When it comes to writing, though, you're spot on. I mean, there is you cannot put the anointing of God in chat. So, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can't have anointing on chat is not anointed. But to do an entire book in 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 AI, it's not it's going to be you to a certain extent, right? Because it learns you. But it's
Learn
not
from, yeah, the inputs. Sure.
right. But it's not going to be you at your heart. It's not going to be you at your most authentic and vulnerable self.
Well, I think that is where, and so I'll contradict even what I said because I think now a lot of people that may be scared to write could use AI to start that conversation. I remember my coach years ago said, Wayne, and he called it the 10 by 10 matrix. And he said, I want you to write 10 topics about this subject. And then I said, okay. So I wrote out 10 topics. And then on our next coaching call, he said, I want you to write 10 subtopics for each one. And you may not get 10, you may get 2, you may get 3, you may get 4, but shoot for 10. And I did 10. Now, it took a lot. Now, using chat, I could probably do that in 30
But it takes
seconds.
time for sure.
But then he said, now you have 100. 10 times 10 is 100. You have 100. I want you to write 100 articles. And I said, you got to be crazy. But this was the time when articles were big for SEO. And, you could write an article, put it on Blogger. And, well, I never finished the task, but I got through probably 17 or 18 articles. And then I realized, wow, I could definitely write a book on this. And his thing was, if you can't come up with 10 topics, 10 subtopics, you don't know it enough. You're not
Yeah.
the expert you think you
Good.
are. Go back and study. So it's really interesting when you're helping someone write a book, though, just right, just get them going. Do you find people want to share their story, or do you see people wanting to make money with their book? Like, what is the main reason people to come to you? What do you feel like their heart is saying?
So the main reason that people come to write a book is they want to share their story. And what I find often that I wrestle with also I wrestle with when it comes to them is they'll come, they want to share their story, and the first thing they say is, I'm not looking to make money. And for me, it's like, well, so yes, God gives us an assignment, He gives us a purpose, He gives us, the Holy Spirit gives us our gifts, but we are supposed to use them to point back to God, but also to be profitable financially. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. And I said that to some people. There's nothing wrong with you wanting to make money. Now, are you going to make thousands and thousands of dollars off a book? That's not the purpose of it. The purpose of the book is to be almost like a business card to get you in the door. Hey, I have this
100%.
book, right? Now you're in a conference. Now you're doing workshops. Now you're doing seminars, right? You're going because you have a book, and what you speak on is about your book. You have a podcast. You have a business, and you have product. So it's really physical product to whatever it is that you have. So it's okay to make money, but that's not the reason they come. They usually come, they want to share their story. And then I have to go, it's okay to also make money and do this.
Yeah, I think, yeah, and that's why when people come to me about what I do, I'm like, well, Prosper with Wayne is creating health, wealth, and happiness. And prosper is, the word's very clear. I wish that we would prosper and be in good health, even as your soul
Right.
prospers. That
Right.
is what I want to see people do. So when somebody writes a book, maybe they just write it to leave as a legacy for their children, which
Yeah.
we talked about the other day.
Yes, we did.
Um, I joked about it. I have in my office here 2 pieces of furniture that came from my mother. My mother died when I was 7 years old, and it was passed down and passed down, from family member. Now I have it. But when I leave this world, nobody wants they're not valuable. They're just memories for
Right.
me, no one else. But a book or a volume of books that you can leave and people can read, and it was you, not AI, that wrote it. Now it's really like, oh wow, this is what they matter to them. And again, I think that's the importance of a book. Now, when it comes to making money, and I want to talk about that too, because I have written a number of books, and I know you've helped people with books, probably in the same way. But I have written books that are exactly what you said. They're a business card, and I've used them in real estate. I've used them in fact, I'll share this story for those that are thinking, can I write a book? I'm just this. I'm an insurance agent. I'm a dentist. I'm a whatever it may be. Uh, I remember one of the books I wrote, and it was just called Sold, and it was just a book about how someone should stage their home, clean their home, price their home, and they're going to sell it. And so, a number of years ago, and I sat down at a listing appointment. So I'm a real estate agent. I'm sitting down, and the gentleman was he was one of those guys that just kind of crossed his arms and sat back and like, what are you going to sell me on? And so we went through the home, and he said, I want to let you know I'm talking to 3 other real estate agents. Then I'll make a decision who I use. Okay, cool. But when you're looking at a $30,000 commission on a sale of a home, you need to earn that. I said, well, cool. But by the way, while I'm going through some material, here's a book that I wrote. Now you can pick it up on Amazon or blah, 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 but I just want to give you a copy. And it was so funny because he looked at the book, and on the back cover was my picture. On the front was my picture. And he turned it to the back, and he looked at me, and he looked back, and he started thumbing through it while I'm talking to his wife. At the end, he says, if you can write a book, you must know what you're talking about. We're going to list with you. We listed at full commission. And he said, I'll call the other 3 and just cancel their appointments. So that one book,
Yep.
and now I'm not going to bore you with more stories, but I used it so many other times, direct mail and so forth. I picked up at least 6 figures in commission
Yep.
that I know of.
Yep.
And that's where people miss it, because if I hand a business card to them, everybody hands business cards.
Everybody
So
has
a
business.
book is so important. And I want to say this too, not even if you're not, because people that follow my podcast, there's a reason you want to prosper in these areas. There's an edge that you're wanting.
Yeah.
Write the book. Write the
Yeah.
book, or write the books.
You understood the cost, and that's the thing, is we have to understand the cost, right? And so that $4, $5, maybe it costs you $4 or $5 to print the book, but what
Sure.
did it get you in commission, right? And that's where we have
Yeah.
to understand investment. The book is an investment. That's what it is. You're
Sure.
investing and you're not sharing your knowledge. I had a client who she does real estate investment work. So she invests in real estate properties, duplexes, rents them out. And she wanted to help the Latino community. So she's like, I want this book in Spanish. I did that for her. Like I do instructional books all the time. If you're an insurance broker and you wanna level up your business and get more, write a book. You know your stuff, right? I was taking this course that was actually about online courses. And I'll never forget the instructor. She's very well known. I can't think of her name now though, but she says, all you got to do is know 10% more than anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just 10% more.
Yeah. Yeah. My first sales trainer years ago said, Wayne, you just have to be a little bit better than the other guy every day, a little bit better. And yeah, and I think that's kind of what we're talking about here, and that's the point of this podcast. I'm so glad to have you on here talking about this, because if somebody, whoever's watching this, if you're like, hey, I want to write a book, look in the show notes. We'll have all of the information. And so you can go to the website, find out more. And I will share, I've told people before, if you're not comfortable, like, I can't write a book, write a Facebook post. um, do a LinkedIn post. I helped one lady with a book, and she had 365 days of inspiration she felt like the Lord gave her. And so we edited 365 days of it and put it in a book, and that's something she can leave as a legacy. But I want to say this too. I think, and we touched on it earlier, but I think there's a lot of healing that can take place. It's very therapeutic sometimes just to get the words out. Yeah.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and so, and that can be not just because somebody's gone through pain. It can be therapy in business. I think one of the best ways to learn something is to teach it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Agreed. Agreed. And I think you're absolutely right. Is one of the things I always say is your book, no matter what it is, it has to be for you first. Before it can help the reader, it's got to be for you. Like it's got to hit for you, right? So, and that can be and that goes for anything. It's like you have to be able to see it and go, "Oh, this is really good. This would have helped me." But the way, Wayne, I wrote my workbook, it's around here somewhere. My workbook that helps people write their actual manuscripts. What I did is I was like, God, I want to develop something that helps people write their books and eliminate all the mistakes I made. I made so many mistakes. I wanted to try to help them. And that's what I did. And the workbook literally gives you everything, how the planning of it, outlines all the stuff so that you don't make the mistakes I made on my first book.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. And I think that's going back to people say, Wayne, why do you coach? That's one of the things that I do. I do personal coaching, I do business coaching. I said, because you can save so much time, just learning from someone else's mistakes and growing from their discoveries. And it's one of the best investments I've ever made is investing in someone else and what they can teach me, what I can learn. So, yeah. So let me ask you this and I want to just go a little bit deeper. Um, what advice would you give to someone? We asked about somebody wanting to start a book. You would just start. But I'm going to circle back for just a second to somebody that is going through a divorce, a separation. What advice would you give to someone that's, they don't know what to do? They found this podcast by accident, which I don't
Right.
believe.
Right.
And they're listening and they're like, I don't know what to do. What's one piece of advice that you would give them?
Well, that's good, Wayne. If
Yeah,
you
we didn't script this out, so I'm putting you on the
are,
spotlight on you for.
that's okay. If you're hurting, if you are hurting, if you are like going through it and you don't know what to do, I'm gonna say, give yourself grace. Give yourself grace
Mm,
for sure, because it is not, it's not easy, and when you're in the midst of pain and dealing with whatever relationship circumstance that you're dealing with, and that emotional trauma or pain, just give yourself grace, forgive yourself, right? And I'm going to say this, and this is, so the first thing is give yourself grace and forgive yourself, right? Just really go to God and just forgive yourself. Get wise counsel, right? The Bible says there's safety in the
yeah,
multitude of counsel. So get wise and sound counsel. Don't go to everybody. Just really pray on who you're supposed to go to. And if you really, really want to heal, you earnestly pray for that other person.
that's
When
so
you
good.
when you pray for that other person, I will tell you, Wayne, that I was not perfect at it, because we work out this humanity. But my ex, I am very cordial with him. I understood that I can't afford to hold on to unforgiveness. Um,
Yeah,
None of us can.
no, and praying for someone else isn't always easy. I'm not going to share my story now, but I went through the same, and And I said, Lord, I don't know how to pray in this situation, but I know what you tell me to do.
Right.
That's really good. What's now? Obviously, you have your books, but what's outside of your book? What's one of your favorite books? It could be fiction, nonfiction. I don't care. What's a book you love? Just
Oh my
curious.
goodness. Oh my goodness. That's a hard question. Wait, I love all 30 books. Okay. I'm gonna give you I'm gonna give you one that I read last year that was phenomenal, and it's called The Bait of Satan. The Bait of Satan was written by John Bevere.
Wonderful
Phenom
book.
Oh my gosh. I mean, when I
Wonderful.
tell you, it was like absolutely. So I that is 100%. I would say that book completely. All books transform me, but that book really it really
Yeah.
solidified a lot of the little foxes that I still was, God was working out in me.
Yeah. What it got me was I hadn't forgiven people in my life. I had excused them.
Yeah,
And
it's
there's a
good.
difference. And that's the one thing I got out of that book. And I'm like, whoa, I need to go back. That's so good. Um, okay. I don't always do this, but we're going to do some fun. All right. We're going to end the call with a lightning round of just some you have not been scripted just to get to know you a little bit better. So they may sound silly, they may be deep. I just like to ask questions. So we're gonna do a lightning round really quick. So first thing that comes to your mind, and all right, and we're gonna see how close really. We're gonna see if you get back on this show again or not based on how you answer these.
So
I'm kidding.
okay.
I'm kidding with you. The first one is so funny. Coffee or tea?
My gosh, coffee all day long.
You're back on. You are a standing guest on this show. Cats or dogs?
Dogs. I'm a dog
All
girl.
right, you okay? Um, the one I love to ask a lot is the favorite book, and we kind of already did that. What's a bucket list item maybe you've done or hadn't done yet?
No, I am on my way to it. So let me tell you, Wayne, I am a baseball girl. I love baseball. It is my favorite sport. And I am
Awesome.
working my way towards going to like one game at every stadium.
Oh, so
So
good.
9 so
That's so
far.
fun. All right, love that. Love that. Yeah. Okay. Prosper is health, wealth, happiness. There's so much more, but that's really. Uh, so I'm gonna let you choose health, wealth, or happiness, and just give one piece of advice on any of those areas.
Health, wealth, or happiness. Okay. All right. I think I'm going to go with
Happiness. Okay.
yes. And what
Let's
I'm
hear it.
sure. Okay. So here it is. Happiness, right, is rooted in joy, internal joy. So
Okay.
when you have internal joy, it doesn't matter what's going on outside,
What's happening around you
happening around. Right.
for the
So
happiness.
regardless
Yeah.
of what's happening around, when you have internal joy, the happiness comes.
That's
So
so
that
good.
would be
That's
what
so good.
I would offer.
No, I love it. I love it. I love it. Giselle, this has been a great interview. I appreciate you so much. Now,
Thank you.
obviously, guys, go in the show notes, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button, let other people know about the show. But Giselle, take a moment and just tell us where they can go, where they can discover you at, your website.
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is readywriterservicesllc.com. But I am on Facebook and Instagram, Ready Writer Services LLC, or even Giselle Quintanilla, because I'm very active on social media. So absolutely, you can find me at any of those places.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Good. Good. Yeah, this was a great interview. Love it. Guys, again, if you're thinking about, hey, I want to write a book, don't know where to start, then, check out her services, go to her website. And I'm going to ask you guys watching this the same thing. When it comes to health, wealth, and happiness, where do you need to really just dig in? What do you need? And that's what we're here to help you with. And as always, go to prosperwithwayne.com to discover more about our services and what we do. But again, make it a great day, and we'll be back for the next episode.
Thanks for joining us again at Prosper with Wayne. Be sure to subscribe to us for more exciting, life-changing episodes. Go today, in fact. Go now to prosperwithwayne.com and enter your email for our exclusive newsletter and other resources. God bless and go prosper.